Hello there, ladies, gentlemen and unicorns. Thank you so much for inviting me into your browser tab or device of choice. Today, since we're pretty much done with LD45, it's the perfect time to get started with LD45, the post-mortem. Yes, I've been hard at work getting the script done, like I said in the last time, because I want to have some post-mortem out there and working on it because LD42, the big film noir post-mortem, is taking so much time. And this is why I thought, I just throw in another post-mortem in between. Why not? What could go wrong? I can see 5 concurrent viewers and already 1 like. Thank you so much. I give you 1 like right back. And there's even activity in the chat. Again, as always, please let me know if my microphone levels drop. This has been a problem for 2 or 3 streams now, I think, or even before that, but before that I didn't quite notice it. So the thing is, once you notice that my microphone levels suddenly drop, for one reason or another, please let me know in the chat. Just hit a speaker emoji or a microphone emoji so that I know that I have to turn up my microphone levels. I think this has to do with my Sound Blaster control panel that was open, so I closed it for this session. So yeah, let's knock on wood and see if that's working. Okay, so for today, let me switch over to the screen. There we go, I hope. Okay, so like I said, I'm working on the LD45, and let me just show you quickly. This is the entire script. I've pretty much have it finished. There are some funny bits in between which I haven't written, but the overall structure is pretty much set in stone at this point, which means, I will change things, but in the edit. So the thing is, what I need at this point, now that I'm done with the 4th draft, I'm pretty clear what I need for the whole thing to work. In other words, I already recorded the entire voiceover, haven't cleaned it, but I know, for example, what other gamey bits that I need, where I'm just mentioning one game or another game. I don't want to be overly specific, but I just realized it makes no sense if I try to avoid spoilers right now, and then we're going to record some stuff anyway. You probably won't be spoiled, only that some of the games that I manage. And yes, this is what we're going to do today, is recording stuff from games, because I need certain parts. Thank you, phone. Because I need certain parts of certain old games, and then I show you my whole process of keeping the quality up, because this is one of the pet peeves of mine, is when I'm watching someone play an old game on YouTube, and you could clearly see the screen recording software that they used had this little burned in logo there because it wasn't registered. But what's worse for me personally is if you use the wrong codec and all your colors get washed up and the compression is too hard, so you can't really make out what's going on. And I'm pixel prophecy, which means I love each and every pixel by itself, so I want to retain this super crispiness of each pixel. Then I also love compression, which means I want to get out the best quality or retain most of the quality, or at best all of the quality at a manageable file size. And then of course I want to mess it all up that it looks like it was recorded from a TV, so that this is, if you've watched my previous Ludum Dare, when I mention a game, it looks like I filmed it off an old CRT, cathode ray tube, CRT, CRT screen. And and this is, I thought, would be interesting that this is what we're going to do today. For one thing, it's a DOS game, and the other thing is a not Super Nintendo, just Nintendo Entertainment System game. And I also got a weird drink today, for example, for clarification, it's this one here. It's called Miami Strawberry. It's a limited edition, apparently, of something. And the cool thing is, I looked at it and it says the No Carbs Company. And I thought, this is great because I don't want to drink any carbonated drinks, so that you don't have to listen to me belching all over. But it turns out, if you can hear this, it's clearly fizzling. So turns out, it's no carbs, but still carbonated. So I try to keep it to a minimum. Oh yeah, sounds like a strawberry fell into a big vat of the sweetener for Cola Light. So yeah, your mileage may vary with this one. So yeah, it's not the best drink. Okay, so I thought we start out with a Nintendo game, and that is, where do I have it? Of course, yeah, it's Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. Let me just see here to find the line here. Oh yes, start with nothing. This is the voiceover, and this is where I have this one single line there. Start with nothing was the theme right on top. Aptly, I gave it a whopping nothing. I fancied Night is Coming much more, probably because I had a single Castlevania joke I could work into the game. And here it says, Castlevania 2, what a horrible night to have a curse. So we're going to need, at least for me, I will have to record this thing. People sometimes ask me, yeah, why don't you take it from someone else? Because there is so many YouTube videos already there with people having recorded pretty much everything. But for me, this is part of the fun. It's really trying to get a hold of these old games and really get to the point that I need, and yeah, and also experience the games, because I haven't played Castlevania 2 in 20 years, I think. So I've pretty much forgotten everything about it, only that there is this one joke, what a horrible night to have a curse. And this is what we're going to record right now. So first thing you will need for this is an emulator. Oh, by the way, I also invested in a little tool that is this fancy screen magnifier here, so that it's easier for you to follow along when I'm just explaining a very tiny text there on the screen. So I'm using the virtual NES emulator there. And for a couple of reasons. For one thing is, but this is pretty much standard for all the emulators, is I can use my gamepad there, and it has their options to use, yeah, just pretty much any input controller that you want. The other thing is, some people like to just record everything with a screen recording software. But me, being an insufferable perfectionist, I don't like this for a couple of reasons. One reason is, with the screen recording software, you always have some kind of lag, or sometimes if the game that you're playing the emulator operates at a different frame rate than you're recording, you might record double fields or yeah, just still frames for 2 frames or something. And this is not very ideal. Sometimes also the audio and picture is not quite in sync. So how to remedy this? And the thing is, some emulators let you record AVI or AVI videos right off the gameplay. Big problem with emulators is that most of them, at least the ones that I have found, don't let you internally record AVI videos while you're playing. But many emulators, thanks to tool-assisted speedruns, let you record, as it's called, movies, which is pretty much just taking a snapshot of the memory and the ROM you're playing, and then just recording all your inputs on a frame-by-frame basis. In other words, yeah, it's like a script, it's like a macro or macro. It's a macro that plays back, and from that you can record AVIs. Okay, so this was a whole lot of technical background, so let's dig right into Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. Did you see this week's LGR video about filming CRTs? No, I haven't, but it's a pain in the butt, especially if you are like me here in Europe, where we have this 50 Hz refresh rate. Oh great, I just got a tinnitus on this ear. Wonderful. Where we have a refresh rate of 30, what's 30? It's a 40-year-old furry. No. Refresh rate of 50 frames per second. In the US, it's 60 frames per second. And when you're recording also from the screens on the computer, it's usually 60 FPS. Yeah, and also with the cameras here, all the PAL cameras are at 50. Yeah, in short, it's really a pain, and especially with CRTs, you have to tweak quite a lot. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this video. Can't wait for another post-mortem. I've watched all the other ones. Yeah, me too, and this is why we're here, to make another one. So can you hear, do we have audio? I'm not quite sure if there's even audio on this intro. But from what I can tell, I'm not quite sure if you can tell it, I can see a lot of frame drops there, and it's not really smooth there on the emulation. And yeah, this is why what I'm going to do now is to start a movie recording, and I just hit record, and let's put it on the desktop. This is fine, and let's start. Okay, there, now we have audio. So, game start. Like I said, I don't know or I don't recall a lot about this game, only that it was the AVGN's second or first even? No, it was his second video. So I need to record this big text box where it says, "What a horrible night to have a curse." And yeah, I don't know where to find this text box. So, but I think it's not here in the town, so let's just head out into the wild. Alright, this guy jumps, this I don't like, so I'm just going to play until... Oh my god, I'm horrible at this, I'm horrible at this! God, I'm really horrible. Oh no, I'm getting pummeled by the very first enemy. Oh god, and this is why I don't do Let's Plays anymore, because look at this, my god, this is really bad. Okay, so I just keep on playing till we hit this Mimi already. Oh my god, you know what, let's just take off there. Okay, as long as it doesn't jump, we should be fine. Okay. Good. Okay, so at least I can make it past the first stage until we hit the water stage, I think. Okay, forgot that I can't crouch, or apparently there's a lot of lag involved there. Okay, cool. So I think from what I recall is that somehow, or at this point usually, it triggers this big box. Okay, this was very bad. Oh, still just one life left. Oh god, oh no. What? No, not password. Why did you choose password? No, continue. What's one frame? Apparently I hit something there where I'm only advancing by one frame. This is not good. So how do I turn this off? Oh my god, I haven't played this game in a long time. Option, no. File, movie, replay, stop, info, no. Christ. Hard reset, soft reset, no, I just need to keep the emulation going. Ignore illegal opcode. Oh god, what's going on here? Auto frame, skip, throttle. Yeah, you know what? I think I just hit a shortcut key. So what was this shortcut key? So it was space, right, for one frame advance. There we go, one step. Okay, pause. Oh, and P is pause toggle. Okay. P. Yeah. Now this works. Okay. Good. So there we go. Finally. What a horrible night to have a curse. And now I die. No, I don't. So let's just keep playing for a bit there. And now the enemies are harder. Good, but oh god. Yeah, I think that's everything that I need there. Okay, so let's stop now this movie recording and close the file. Cool. Okay, so I got everything that I need in this little, what's it? It's an VMV file, and it's essentially just a record of all the button presses that I made in this game. Okay, so let's say movie and AV convert. Let's zoom in here. So it needs the ROM file, which is Castlevania 2. It needs the movie file, which we just recorded. It's this VMV file, and the output name, which is just Castlevania. Oh, oh god, what's happening there? Castlevania 2. And Now the things are getting interesting. What codec to use? By standard, if you don't know a lot about movie codecs or AVI codecs, and you want to be certain that you're not messing up your compression or you're not messing up your video with some subpar compression, I always say go for full frames uncompressed, but the frame size, even for retro games, just balloons. I mean, you need tens of gigabytes if you play for a half an hour or an hour or so. So this gets huge quite fast. So what other codecs do we have? The Cinepack codec by Radius. I haven't used this one in 20 years either. The IUF codecs, not very fond of. Microsoft Video, no, don't use this. And here we're getting some very usable codecs. The codec that is my go-to codec is the TechSmith screen capture codec, which is the one from Camtasia Studio. And this is pretty cool because it's a lossless codec, which means it's like uncompressed. It doesn't lose any information, which is good, but it's also compressing. It works a little bit like MP4, where you have keyframes that get used as keyframes, and then it tracks only the differences from one frame to the next. And when you have, for example, screen recordings, and not a lot changes from one screen to the next, especially if, I'm not talking about games, but more like Windows desktop stuff. So you just move around some windows, but most of the time it's just the cursor moving. So you have just couple of bytes changes per frame, which is just where the cursor is located. And so also use this for good old games like the NES games or DOS games, because they compress very well. Most of the times it's just a handful of colors, big solids. So it compresses very well. The next thing is keyframe every how many frames. I always go for double the frames or not double the frames. Double the frames. This would be 120 frames. So if something runs at 60 FPS, I usually go by 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds there should be a new keyframe. So this is a good trade-off, because you can also say you just want to have one keyframe right at the beginning and everything else is just a delta to this keyframe. The problem is if you want to edit this thing and have it in your editing software, and you can't easily jump around in the file, because of course it always has to go back to the first frame and then look at all the changes and then display you this frame. So this is, I think, 2 seconds is a good trade-off. And then we can even configure something, and there it only says faster compression or better compression. And since the compression time, this one is a pretty old codec, so I think it's PNG based. So this, if you go for better compression, most of the time, unless you're really compressing full HD images with a lot of colors, like in photo editing software, I always go for bigger compression, because I got the processing power. And that's pretty much it. The frame rate is of course the full FPS, because like I said, I want every bit there is. And the sampling rate, just keep it at CD quality, and filter type is for me important, is none. Okay, I hope I haven't lost you already. So let's hit convert. And you can see here it's going pretty fast there. Of the 8,000 frames that we have, we can do this in half a minute or so. I hope now this stream is not crapping out, but I'm having a look now at the individual cores, and we're good. Still got enough threads left. Okay, so the result of this is this tiny little video that is of course in the original resolution of the NES. And I will show you what happens if I just bring it over to Premiere and scale it up, because this is what I see oftentimes that's happening when people sometimes in their videos throw in little old console videos that they recorded like I did. So you got this postage stamp here. Let's open the video up now to have a look at it. Come on. There we go. So this postage stamp there is the original resolution there. So it's really not big. And let's bring it over just for demonstration's sake into Premiere. So this is a new Premiere timeline, 60 FPS, full HD, which is 1920 by 1080. So Castlevania, there we go. So just drop it there on a video track. Let's keep the existing settings, and yeah, in our HD video project, the game is this big, which is bad, of course. So you might want to be tempted to just scale it up. And let's do this. Just motion. So yeah, by the way, the original resolution, just to double check. Where's my info bar here? Window info. There we go. So the resolution of the Castlevania thing is 256 by 240. Man, those were resolutions, right? So, and now if I just scale it up so that it looks like this, that it fills the whole screen. This was 460%. It gets washed out. And if I zoom in at 100% here, and yeah, even zoom in a little more, so you can see that there is some sharpening going on at the edges. You can, what the hell was this? Okay, so I'm just scrubbing there in the video now. Okay, good. Sorry, I'm still new to this screen magnifier. But still, yeah, you can see there with the mountains in the background, there's some weird artifacts going on there where it gets a little bit brighter on one side and then black again. And yeah, I mean, the interpolation is, I think it's Mitchell or Langzösch, but either way, it's okay for any kind that is not pixel perfect footage. The problem with Premiere is you can't say you want nearest neighbor interpolation to retain this super sharp pixels. So what I've usually been doing is I've brought this file, the original file, over to Virtual Dub, which is a great little tool to compress videos and do a little bit of filtering or cropping or anything like this. So this is Virtual Dub. It's free and it's been for years. And there I can, this is what I do, I just add a new filter. It's a resize filter and I resize it by like 500%. And this is important, the filter mode, I set it to nearest neighbor to retain those pixels. And click OK. And OK again. There we go. And you can see now this is the final size. And then I recompress it again. By the way, if you think, yeah, now it's going to be like 10 times bigger now, not quite. If we still use the same codec, I mean, just for reference, the file that we recorded with audio is 28.1 megabytes, which is quite okay. And if we were to export this now with the same codec, like I said, it's not, you don't have much more information. It's still the same amount of colors and color changes between the pixels. It maybe gets bigger by like 20% at max, but otherwise it would compress very well. And this is why this is usually the way that if I want to keep this in my library of screen recordings, I usually just scale it up because it's not that big of an impact to my disk size. Okay, what are you using to capture the screen? For the stream, I'm using OBS Studio to capture the screen. Like I said, for the virtual NES, I didn't use anything. I just recorded a movie, what's called a movie there, and then had this movie convert to an AVI file. And when I'm doing game recordings of modern games or anything that I can't run in an emulator, I'm using Bandicam. I used Fraps before, but with Bandicam, it pretty much gives me everything that I need. And if you're interested in how I record current games, what my settings are, just stick around. I think at the end of this whole stream, I can show a little bit, I can talk shop from how I do my converting stuff, because it might be a little bit overkill. My wife always tells me, but yeah, I just show you how I do things and what you can get away with. But since as we all know, I'm being a perfectionist and want to keep all the quality that I get at maximum quality, I have my very special settings and workflows. Okay, so we got this Castlevania bit here, and I just want to make sure that I put it in my project directory, because for all my Ludum Dare projects, you can see here I have this project structure where I have all the codecs and fonts that I need, because if you have a project and you use some fancy fonts and you want to open it even in 2 years after you've reset up your computer or switched workstations, Thank you. The fonts and the AVI codecs or the media codecs are probably the things that you are likely to forget, and this is why I always pack them here. And for my stuff here, I have source screen grabs and put it there under 10 games. If it works, no, it doesn't. Yeah, this screen loop thingy is a little bit, yeah, not quite bug free apparently. So yeah, I just dropped it there that I have everything there in my folder, in my project folder, so that I can move the whole project just to my server for backups and don't have files littered about my desktop, as we usually do. Okay, so let's head over to After Effects. Where is it? I closed it. This is wonderful. Because I mean, I could use this now, or like I have it in Virtual Dub at 500%, but I can also upscale the thing in After Effects with the nearest neighbor interpolation, which is good. Like I said, Premiere doesn't offer nearest neighbor interpolation, and I've already sent them a ticket and a suggestion, but Adobe being Adobe, so why should they listen to me? Overkill, yes, it's overkill for anybody else but me. Okay, so let's take this here from the project directory. No, you know what? I already have. We shouldn't have to start from scratch. So I already prepared something, and this is my setup to make anything look like it was filmed off a CRT. So you can see here already when I zoom in. Everything gets softer. It's got this little bit of chromatic aberration going on. There's some noise there. Those funky pixels there, they are animated, and you even got a little bit of this grid of the CRT here, just a hint of it shining through. So this is my setup. Let's do a quick. And yeah, and another thing is that of course the motion blurs a little bit together. So this is my quite elaborate setup to make something pretend that it's a CRT. And I think I got even this scan, the CRT scan mapped out. Okay, so let me just make sure that when I'm making a preview that we don't start at the very first frame. Preview from preview shortcut numpad 0 and not start current time. Okay, so what's going on here? I think I've mentioned a lot of this in on my Pixel Prophecy channel. There was the making of the Super Ludum Dare game cabinet, which was, of course, wasn't a real game cabinet, but essentially I just made some pixel art, animated it in After Effects, and then applied this whole barrage of filters there. And since I already set this up, we got here this nice composition that just says source VGA screen. So this is where I pop in my source, and then it just ripples through all the effects on top. So I just switch it over like this. And you know what? I can already scale it up here by, let's try 200%. And also by default, After Effects is applying some bicubic filtering there. And by hitting this thing here, I can say super quality, which is, I think, again, Mitchell filtering or bicubic filtering. And by this, it just says lowest quality. And for us, this means wonderful, sharp pixels. Okay, so I zoom out here. And the only part that we need is this one here at the end. What a horrible night to have occurs. Maybe just, yeah, let's start there from the continue. Just clip it because I don't need everything there. So it's just 30 seconds, and which I won't need all of the whole of the 30 seconds. Okay, so this one, it's if you recall, I showed the Nuke compositing software a while ago on a stream, and After Effects is something else entirely, but it also got this kind of flowchart display where one composition moves as input into the next one. So I got this composition here, and the next composition is called VFX out, and this is where everything happens. Let's head over to something. Yeah, let's take this still here. So what the hell is going on here? Well, for one thing is I'm just scaling it up, that it's now in a full HD frame, like so. Yeah, this looks good. The next thing is RF noise, and let me just click it on, and you can see here all those little funky pixels there. They are just random noise, like yeah, if you connect it up through, yeah, let's disable the audio here. Yeah, it's just going wild if you have some kind of static in your line from your gaming console to your TV or recorder of choice. So this is also very digital and overly sharp, but this is fine. Then we got Afterglow, which just blends a couple of frames together. So let me see where there is some movement there in the game. Maybe here where I'm jumping. So if I turn this off, this Afterglow thing, you can see here, yeah, everything just blurs together over a couple of frames because yeah, CRTs, they had not the fastest reaction time, but they were pretty bright. So, okay, so this is what happens with the Afterglow. But when you're looking at this, it still looks too artificial, too digital in a sense. So the next thing that happens is a blur. So everything gets blurred, and this also blurs out this RF frequency. And now it's just a hint here, just a little bit of noise going on in those areas. So I think this already sells it pretty well. And now for the icing on the cake, that is, next thing is this CRT filter, which just makes everything darker. It's this mask of, looks like this, or if I zoom in, yeah, it's just red, green, blue, all those dots, yeah, of the CRT mask. So this is just very subtle on top, but of course it makes everything darker. And this is why at the end I pump up the brightness again. So we're already almost getting there. The next thing is scan lines. Sometimes when I want to use scan lines, I can just enable or disable this. Usually you just have one line per pixel, but for this it doesn't quite work. So I need to either scale down the scan lines or the pixels. It says here scan lines 320. This is for the vertical resolution, which I don't have at this point. So I just turn off the scan lines. So this is fine. Oh, and then I've got the glow. When I switch this on, yeah, the colors tend to blur a little bit together. It's like a bloom, it's like a glow that's over everything. You can see it here, especially there with this white bar on top. If I switch the glow on and off, yeah, it's a glow. It's a glow. And what I can see is that this doesn't look perfectly centered or centered at all. So just get back here in my source and just move it up a bit. Where do I have my position? Like so. So that, yeah, it's framed a little bit better. Okay, so, and then I got this wonderful composition. So first we have here our source, which gets as an input piped into this composition, and this entire composition gets handed over to more effects. So what more effects are going on here? For one thing is, yeah, I'm splitting up the channels from red, green, and blue. And each channel I apply a radial blur, and each channel gets blurred a little bit differently. Why the hell am I doing this? Well, to simulate this kind of chromatic aberration there. This where the edges, or the further something is from the center of the screen, it gets, yeah, it's split up into its color components even further. This is also what happens with older CRTs where, yeah, the RGB channels are not quietly matched up. And yeah, this just a little bit. I've also made a video on what is chromatic aberration, why should you care. I'm not quite happy with the quality of this video. It's over on my Pixel Prophecy channel because it's a couple of years old and I'm not really touching into anything specifically or explaining things very well. I'm just doing a screen capture. But yeah, this is just something that I want also to give it a little bit more realism. The next thing, there are just some kind of adjustment layers, like what does this do? I'm not quite sure. Oh, of course, yeah, it blurs also everything that is at the edges just a little bit more. Like I said, yeah, it's like the cathode rays is not quite properly focused or only focused on the center, and this is what I'm trying to simulate here. The next thing is this black solid that lies on top. What does the black solid do? Yeah, it's this scan. Let me show you here. Maybe we can see it there in animation. or maybe I just set the opacity to 1. No, this is animated. So okay, so cool. I just saw that I scripted everything there. So in After Effects you can make After Effects expressions, and you can use like sliders and everything and use those as values. It's a little bit like shader coding in a sense. So I can here adjust the amount of chromatic aberration there. If you watch this side here, that's just showing there in the stream, I hope. Now it's blue, and if I'm going towards the positive, it gets redder. So I can adjust how blurry the chromatic aberration gets. And also the scan, this is, the scan lines is if your monitor is slightly out of sync with the camera, and you can really see where the new image, the new build up happens. And this I can, just to show you, I can have here this intensity and the speed. Let's pump this up and make a little preview, and I hope you can see it. Yeah, this stripe that goes from top to bottom. And yeah, this is also something that I like to simulate if necessary, like this. But this is of course too fast and too strong, so I want to have it just very subtle, very subtle. And also the edge blur I see here is animated. So do we see it here? No, but let's check again there where there is some movement. I think this is where I'm jumping. And again, let's just check how it's looking. And now the box is coming. What a horrible night to have a curse. Man, this text is slow in comparison. Okay, so let's have a look at the preview. And yeah, this is what it looks like when it's trying to appear on a CRT monitor. Okay, still 7 viewers. This is great. I was a little bit afraid that I lost all of you with these very intricate details. But yeah, I think we can start to render this out. So now then I'm playing just for a couple of, just a little bit more, and then I die. So yeah, I can say 26 seconds of this. So we start here, then the text box starts here at second 5. And then just keeps on going. Yeah, I can say, around 28 seconds until I completely die. 28 seconds is enough. So let's render this. I just hit render. And again, we are tasked with picking the right codec. And for my purposes, the right codec is I'm using pretty much as my intermediate format is QuickTime, because I'm used to using QuickTime at work because everything was Mac based. But thankfully enough, now the Apple ProRes 4444 codec, what the hell does this mean? I get to it in a bit. This is pretty much an almost lossless codec, which still, well, it's not quite entirely lossless, but even after a couple of generations, you won't really see that it's not lossless. And the good thing is about those Apple ProRes codecs is, you can just have to choose one, and there are no more settings like we've seen with the not the Lagarith codec, the TechSmith codec before, where it says, keyframes or quality setting. None of that. And this is why I like this codec quite a lot, because when you tell someone or one of your clients you need it as a ProRes 422 HQ, there's nothing they can get wrong. They just need to make sure that they click this and you're good. So what does this mean, the 444 and 422 and HQ and so on? Yeah, this is just to make, this is very technical, but essentially it's the ratio between the different channels, and I'm not talking about red, green, blue channels, because we're here still in broadcast video world. So your video got 3 channels. It's not red, green, and blue, but it's luminance, which is just a black and white image, and then it's the color difference channels. So all the colors get mixed by the differences. The first channel is the difference between blue and some kind of olive yellow. So in the middle it's gray, and on one side it's just blue, and on the other side it's just orange, or greenish yellow, and the other channel is magenta and green. So once you mix these together, you get a color image, broadcast image. And 422 means the ratio between the resolution of these individual channels. So it means you got for 4 pixels of the luminance channel, you get 2 pixels for each of those color difference channels. In short, this means the colors are at the half resolution of the luminance. In other words, maybe you've seen this when you did some screen recordings yourself and you recorded something, and the red, when you got thin red lines, for example, they always, not almost, yeah, they always bleed out and they're pixely, and you really, no matter what you do, you can't get rid of them. The thing is, the MP4 codec, the XVID codec, pretty much anything in its default consumer settings is encoded by 4x2x2, and there you go, this is it. And this is why I picked the ProRes 4444, which means, yeah, you got the same resolution for luminance, the same resolution for colors, and also the last 4 is for the alpha channel, should you have some kind of transparency. Wow, I'm really sorry for the lecture. This was actually a little bit more, took longer than necessary, but I hope you're still following and you still find this vaguely interesting. So I forgot, of course, the audio output, because I still want to have this the original audio. So I just say, yeah, audio output on, and this is good. But I need, of course, to make sure that I also ripple the audio through until, oh, this was wrong. There we got the audio. It's just this, it's this tiny little icon there. So I really have to make sure that everywhere I go, I retain the audio. And I need it here just once, because otherwise, since I'm splitting this up in the RGB channels, I would have, yeah, three times the volume. So this is good. So this is ready to be exported, and like I said, we only need 28 seconds, so I just say the duration is not 1 minute, but it's, yeah, 28 seconds, and this is good. Okay, so let's zoom out and fit this one here, and of course, yeah, I need to specify a file name. This would help. And I just put it there and call it Castlevania 2 CRT version 01. And hit save. Save the whole composition. And now I hit render. And 3 footage files are missing. What the hell is missing? You know what? I don't care. Jesus, when you output an RGB image with no alpha, its color is set to straight on. Yeah, I know this. Okay, I don't need the alpha channel anyway, so this is fine. So why is it still black? Apparently I added the wrong composition to the render queue, so yeah, this is not good. Stop it, stop. Christ. There we go, okay. So of course I have to make sure that I'm in the correct, yeah, an output module is missing, whatever, that I'm in the correct timeline there. Okay, so everything is black. Apparently what is missing is my source footage file. No, it's here. I have no idea what's happening now. Okay, here everything looks good. Got it's 30 seconds in VFX out. Oh, of course I said, this little dot here means I soloed just the RF noise, so only the RF noise would show up. Yeah, this looks much better. And VFX out settings. Yeah, I just entered 28 seconds, but what I've could also done is just limit the output range this here to 28 seconds, like so. I think this is more straightforward. I think this is why I'm more used to doing it the bad way. Well, the bad way, the more convoluted way of just entering values in some text boxes, because in the good old DOS days, this is what I would have done, or what we all had to do. Okay, so more effects. We got audio on there. Good. Okay. Make sure my export settings, so I don't need trillions of colors plus, well, yeah, maybe I do, but I only need RGB and not RGB plus alpha, which is fine. Settings mismatch. Audio output on. Settings mismatch, by the way, I think this is, yeah, when I should, since I'm not using the alpha channel, just After Effects is being a little bit overly concerned whether I really know what I'm doing. But yes, I don't use the alpha channel, so let's just override this and hit save again and render it again. Yeah, something's missing, but looks good, right? And the fun thing is about this whole thing, yeah, by the way, let me know if the stream is suddenly getting all choppy, because then I will abort this rendering. Yeah, what I wanted to say, the fun thing is that the resulting file will probably be around maybe 1 gigabyte or something, which I find quite funny, because we started out with this pixel perfect stuff, which was 28 megabytes, including audio, and then we messed it up so that it looks worse, and in the end, yeah, it looks much worse and compresses also much worse than before. So yeah, as you can see, this is taking quite a lot of time because of all those chromatic aberration stuff there, and frame blending and bloom and all those effects I just kept piling on there, and also the noise generation, yeah. And for 60 frames per second, yeah, it will probably still take 9 minutes to render, but this can happen in the background. So again, let me know if suddenly the stream starts crapping out, because it's using all my cores, I think. Let me just check there. Performance. Show kernel times and view change graph to logical processors. Yeah, so pretty much everything gets used. Yeah, whatever. Okay, thank you, 7 concurrent viewers, -1, which is me in the other tab, for staying and still sticking with me. The next thing is I'm using another game, and this time it's Wasteland, because I just mentioned the funny parts of Wasteland. I played this game, or tried to play this game recently again for the DOS Game Club. Okay, now it's time to plug the dosgameclub.com. Did I make a typo? No, the first time I didn't make a typo. So the DOS Game Club it's like a book club, but each month we play another old DOS game, and then we just chat about it there in the forums. And there's also a podcast, of which I've been lucky to be invited twice. Well, actually I was invited once, the other time I invited myself. But yeah, it's quite fun. Re-evaluating all those old DOS games you might remember from your childhood, and then realizing, yeah, they still hold up, or most of the times, oh my god, how could we play this? But either way, it's always fun. And yeah, and I think a couple of months ago we played Wasteland, and for me, yeah, I even backed the Wasteland 2 when it came out, because I was just so blown away by, yeah, they're making a remake or a sequel to the old DOS game. And I haven't played it before, but from what I read, I thought, yeah, this will be straight up my alley. And then I played it, and I had to start over like 3 or 4 times until I had a party that had enough skill points or ability points with guns that they would survive the very first fight. Yeah, I wasn't having a lot of fun because it was a little bit too old school for me. But yeah, this is where to get Wasteland nowadays. Of course, you can also buy it there on GOG for a whopping $5.39. I still got it as a backer reward, the old game. So I still have it in my DOS box and haven't played it in, yeah, ever. Well, no, it's a couple of months back, but I didn't get very far, and I was having a horrible time because everything felt just so overly convoluted. But still, let's record something like this. But first, I want to have another sip of this horrible strawberry accident and see what's happening in the chat. The technical details are what makes this interesting. Thank you! Anyone ever tried to compress VHS captures knows about the compression cost of noise. Yeah, usually also when I want to get my videos that I record to look like 1940s grainy film, what I still need to do is to denoise them and get all the digital noise out. Then I can compress and save them, that they're super squeaky clean, and then just apply digital noise back on it. But yeah, VHS captures, it's either way, they look crappy either way. On one hand, if you capture them perfectly, well, they still look like VHS, but take up a huge space. Or you just capture them like to MP2, very crappily compressed, and then with all the noise, it compresses even worse and looks much worse than even VHS looked. Okay, so Wasteland, how to record from DOSBox. Well, let's first go to games, because I got a bunch of games there. Or yeah, just page through all the games that I currently got in my DOS box. Yeah, it's not that much. So Waste. Oh, look at this. Apparently I copied this in Windows. So yeah, So what do we have there? Do we have any commands? No. Any exe files? Any batch files? Yeah, wastel2.batch. You know what's in there? Okay, so apparently it's some kind of Windows thing because it got there an ln key file. So this is a shortcut link. So yeah, let's just see the README. Support games. Yeah, I got this one apparently from Games Nostalgia and not the Becker reward I got. So yeah, October 2019. Oh right, yeah, I recall. I copied this last week because I thought I have no idea where I have the original Wasteland. So this is actually the one from Games Nostalgia. Cool. So, but where's the game? No, it must be in there. And there, Wasteland again. Yeah, this looks more like it. So is there a setup? Because this is a DOS game. There we go. Complete setup, create program and pictures only to change graphics mode, create maps, new maps only, destroys old characters, restart game with old characters. Okay, create pictures and programs only. This is an ancient DOS program. So play Wasteland on a hard drive. Yes, you can see how old this game is. Please enter the hard drive letter. That is C. Select the appropriate colors. So let's go with EGA RGB because we're rich kids. Warning, you need at least 850,000 bytes of free space. Man, I love this game. This is so old land. So this will create a subdirectory called Wasteland. Yes, this is correct. Put the Wasteland master disk into drive C and press enter. Okay. Why should I put it into drive C? Oh, yeah, the hard drive is drive C, but apparently it thinks that I'm installing it from drive C. Okay, so this is a lot harder than anticipated, and I think it's stuck now because I'm not inserting any disks. So maybe I should mount this disk there as installation disk and then install it from a virtual floppy disk. Oh my god, trying to run old games. Well, you could do this, or again, pay $5 and get a pre-configured DOS box ready to run the game. But this is not why we're here. So let's get to my DOS file system where I dropped Wasteland. There we go. Screenshots, Wasteland, DOS box. Yeah, so okay, this one already comes with a DOS box, which I don't need. I don't need a DOS box inside my DOS box, so this can go. Okay, so there is Wasteland, and to install it, I think we should mount it. Okay, and to make life easier for myself, I just drop it into, let's put L. I just drop it into the root directory of a hard drive and call it waste, and then it's easier to mount. So okay, let's get back into DOSBox and install this old game for one throwaway line in my post-mortem. So let's mount as a L waste. Mount. Why? Oh, of course, I need to. This is already DOS, so I need to go to Z, that is DOSBox, and now I can. Oh, waste. Yeah, now it does exist. So if I go to A and hit setup, there we go. Okay, so let's complete the setup. First, play Wasteland on the hard drive. Yes, please enter the hard drive letter. That is C. EGA RGB. Are these options correct? Yes. And now it's stuck again, but for different reasons. No, okay, it's done. This is cool. This is cool. Okay, to run Wasteland, C, CD, and so on. Okay, so let's go C, CD. Yeah, this is nice. It already changed the drive letter for us. And hit WL. Okay, and now how to record videos with DOSBox. I also don't need my screen recording software because this is much easier. In DOSBox, there are shortcuts to record just the audio. You can record just the OPL commands if you want to grab some ad-lib sound. You can make screenshots and you can capture video with a DOSBox zlib compressor, which is a little bit, or actually quite a lot, like the TechSmith compressor that I showed you earlier. In other words, it compresses very well. And you do this, I think, by Control, Alt, and F5. No, Control, Shift, F5. Am I here in the wrong window? Was it F7? Is this the wrong DOS box, perhaps? The wrong DOS box window, because there is already a DOS box folder there that got created, and it already has this AVI file of 0 kilobytes, not null. Like I said, German, the word for 0 is null. And programming in German is as infuriating as you might expect it. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try this again, because in the DOSBox console, the DOSBox status window should show you that it started recording. So let's go to Wasteland again and start the recording. Screenshot. There we go. Okay, so now it shows up. It's Control Alt and F5, and now it says capturing video to DOSBox. What's important to notice is that you can see here, this is a screenshot that I captured, that each time the screen changes screen modes, it will start a new recording. So this is why I keep this open. So let's hit WL, and you can see here now, since it changed screen modes, there's a new AVI file there. And what I always found funny about this title screen here is it looks like something went horribly wrong with changing palettes, because this looks to be like some kind of maybe mushroom cloud or sunset or anything, but yeah, something happened there, and there's just this random, well, not random, it's pretty much all the colors. Okay, so let's just start. Enter new location. No, so apparently I'm already running around there in a game. So I don't know anything about this game apart from what was discussed in the DOS Game Club podcast. So let's just move around and enter this new location, and there we are at the Rangers Center. And by P I got the roast round. So let's just roam around and see. Let's go to this location there and have a look around. Since I just need to use, I just mentioned I'm playing Wasteland, or that Wasteland gets just one name call there. I think it's safe if I just go around and pretend that I'm playing a little. This is a dorm for teens, nothing much of interest here. So yeah. Okay, so now we can go in here and talk to this there. Enter new location. Yes. Welcome to the shop. Who wants to enter? Well, Hellraiser. You have $0. Do you want to buy or sell? You know what? Let's sell anything that we got. A crowbar, a canteen, rope, or a hand mirror. You know what? I can do without a hand mirror. And maybe with matches. And probably I've locked myself out of anything to finish this game. But this is cool. So, add escape. Who wants to enter? No one. Is this door locked? A name is painted on the door. Mr. Jumbo. The door is locked. So use which player? Let's say Hellraiser, and let's use the skill. The skill of knife throw, no. Any other skills? Brawling, climb, swim, perception, silent move, no. Yeah, this is the big problem that I have with Wasteland, is that there are way too many skills for individual characters. It's not like you got strength, ability, charisma or something. It's like dozens, even toaster repair, I think, as in the good old Fallout games, or yeah, something along. That doesn't seem to work. Okay, so let's try this again. Use, maybe Angela Death got a skill of picklock. There we go, 8. And which way? Down? Hey, what do you think you're doing to the door? Yells angry Juvies. Yell the angry Juvies. The door is open. So, okay, so maybe we getting an encounter. On the wall are faded photos of kids. T-shirts say Camp High Pool. Okay. One note is cash accounts with the... What? More? Okay, I missed it. Okay, so... One note is a reminder to put a trapdoor over the cave across the creek. Another is about hydrophobia. Okay, so cool. So, you know what? Can we attack this one? Apparently not. A note tacked to the wall says cave. Adults, raid outlaws, Jackie, Bobby's dog, fix water purifier. Okay, so let's just head over the creek and examine here. I think this must be the trapdoor. So let's say use, which player? Hellraiser, skill, perception might be it. Perception and look up. You easily cross large stepping stones. You see nothing special. So somewhere there, I think, must be the trap door. You know what? Let's try this again. Which player? Hellraiser, skill, perception was 5. Let's look up. You still see nothing special. Okay, yeah, maybe the trapdoor is not there. But yeah, I think maybe there is something funny already, because I said, yeah, I want the game to be as funny as Wasteland, and I think I already got my funny here by reading what's there on the wall. This bedroom looks like a scum pit. This is a wall. This is a wall. There are faded. Yeah, this all we already had. Yeah, one note puts a reminder. The trapdoor over the cave across the creek. This is a wall. This is a wall. What's up with you? You can't go in there. Yeah. So as you can see with those old, very old games, you had to use a lot of imagination. But what I really like about this, you can see here now, once I step behind this wall, yeah, we got lines of sight implemented. This is wonderful. Okay, maybe let's head out a little bit more into the desert, that it looks more like a Wasteland game. Enter new location, yes. And let's see if we perish. What's over there? What is this? Yes, let's enter the new location. Okay, this looks good. The guard stops you at the entrance to the tent and requests that you state your business. Okay, and now we need, of course, the manual, because it says, it's very warm, entering desert nomads, read paragraph 2. The thing is, the game is 1.81 megabytes in size, which means you can't store all the text that's being in this game. This game is this ancient that there wasn't enough space on the disk for all the text. So the game came with a manual, and you had to read paragraphs of text, and that you just wouldn't know the whole story. I think it was with Wasteland. There were also a lot of bogus paragraphs that would never be referenced in the game, so that once you think if you read through everything, you know everything. A lot of things are just wacky and are mentioned just there as a kind of copy protection, even in a sense, which I find quite interesting. My business is making a Ludum Dare, or making LD post-mortem. The guard stops you, and yeah, my business is job. What? My business is I'm here to meet Rick. Yeah, okay, so this doesn't work. What about this tent here? State your business, state your business. What's with this train engine? Read paragraph 28. The engineer smiles and asks how he may be of assistance. LD post-mortem? What? Yeah, I think I got enough now. Okay, so again, I hit Control Alt and F5. It was Control Shift F5. What was it? Oh, of course, I need to be, of course, in the game window. And oh, look at this. I even got the mouse. I wasn't expecting to be able to use my mouse there in this game. This is wonderful. So yeah, whatever. So let's fuse, save, radio, order, disband, radio, yes. Okay, we can radio the Ranger Center, but how to exit the game? Is it Alt and X? Maybe save, enter, save game. Well, no, quit game. Yes, okay, this is how you do it. Cool, exit. So let's have a look at the file that we just recorded, and it's 84 megabytes in size, and again, also the size of this cute little thumbnail here. And now I'm doing just the same thing as before. I'm just throw it into After Effects and apply my funny little effects on top of it. So I just copy it over here, rename it Wasteland. And since I will also probably be using just a couple of seconds there, I think I should be fine. So I save this after its composition as CRT Games Wasteland, that I know, of course, which one. And then I just replace the footage file of Castlevania with Wasteland. Once I find it, of course. Game footage, no, this was the incorrect one. Source, screen crabs. Wasteland, there we go. Unsupported format, of course. Ladies, gentlemen, unicorns, the joys of video capturing. Adobe doesn't seem to accept all the codecs, so of course we need to package it differently. Since the codec of DOSBox is lossless, you just can't use another codec. But for example, if you want to package, let's assume you have an MP4 file or an MKV file, which is a Matroska video codec or video container, and the program only says it wants an MP4, you are tempted to just reconvert it to MP4. But of course, there's a so-called generational loss, which means, of course, when you're recording something that was already compressed and compress it again, you will also compress the artifacts, because the compressor can't know what is an artifact and what is there. So essentially, you're just losing quality, and the file size keeps getting bigger. And it looks worse. It's like this VHS situation from before. So what you want to do is to just keep the video stream pretty much intact and only rewrap it to put it into a different container. So yeah, this is quite a lot of lingo here now with containers and codecs, because the thing is, video container is AVI, is MOV, is a QuickTime movie, is MXF, for example, or even MKV. So those are just containers. And inside those containers, you can have a number of video streams and audio streams and maybe timecode streams or subtitle streams. The thing is, if something is an AVI, you can't know what codec it is, because the video stream itself has a different codec, which is a way that the video is being encoded and stored. I hope this makes sense. So like I said, now we just need, since this is a it's a lossless codec from the DOSBox, I can just encode it again, because since it's lossless, I can, as much as I want, I can re-encode it as long as I keep the codec lossless or uncompressed. The difference between lossless compression and uncompressed, of course, is just if an image is entirely white, it says, there's one pixel at FF, there's another pixel at FF, and so on. And lossless compression means, of course, it retains all the information. It loses nothing, but it says, there is one pixel that is white, and now repeat this 1,400 times, and this is your image. And of course, this is much smaller, and this is why I always favor lossless compression. The downside is, of course, it takes time for the conversion. Okay, by the way, if you're interested in what the hell or what codec one file is, there's a great program to find out. This is what I use also professionally. This is the Media Info. It's for pretty much any platform, including Linux. This is fun. Sometimes it says, it's on every platform, including Linux, and this is how I like to say things. So, and you can drop a video there, and it lists you the complete name, the format, this is the container, and there is the video stream, and this is the codec ID, is ZMBV. So this is Zip Motion Blocks Video, and Adobe won't read Zip Motion Blocks Video. This now we know, so I need to drop it there into Virtual Dub and just can recompress it. Maybe I want to upscale it as well, but for now I think I'm just fine with how it is. But we have audio, so just to make sure, if I'm compressing things again, audio, okay, so it doesn't like that when I'm zoomed in. So audio, I have to make sure that it's direct stream copy, so the audio doesn't get compressed. And with video, okay, sorry for this zooming in and out, but apparently since I have a different DPI setting on the center monitor, the screen, the screen, the clicks where I'm clicking is a little bit off with this screen magnification. And there I make sure to use full processing mode, and there I can say compression, and now I can select my favorite compressor, which is a TechSmith. Sorry, zooming out again, the TechSmith Motion a screen capture codec, 120 frames my keyframes, and again better compression, and this is it. Then I just can save it there. Oh, look at this, I'm still there in my Chrono Trigger folder because I was playing Chrono Trigger before. So where do we put it? We put it this is Emulators Wasteland. We put it there under the finished VFX shots and call it CRT Wasteland, or Wasteland CRT version 01, or not even CRT, this doesn't make sense, it's Wasteland TechSmith. There we go. And what I like about Virtual Dub is it really shows you how fast it's compressing, and each red line is a keyframe, and the blue lines, or if you can see those, are just the delta frames, how much has changed from one frame to the next. And you can see most of the time there has nothing changed, and this is why it renders at a whopping 800 frames per second sometimes. So this is really the good thing with those very old games. They compress tremendously well and fast. Okay, let's have a look at the chat. Just use ffprobe. Yeah, of course, there are a lot of very handy command line tools for doing compressions. My number one go-to is ffmpeg, but there are many. This is command line based, and you can do a lot of things with it, but you can also do a lot of things incorrectly with it. And yeah, I will come to this after we are done with this one here, but yeah, I like to use ffmpeg, but if you want to use some kind of graphical user interface, this is where I like Virtual Dub quite a lot. Okay, so we recompressed this thing here, and of course it's not CRT, so this is why I need to move it there from one folder to the next. So we are here at Wasteland TechSmith, which is incorrect. Sorry for the scrolling. Incorrect, and I need to put it into Screen Grabs games. So, and now I'm probably able to import it there in After Effects. So let's replace the footage with the TechSmith one, import. There we go. This looks much better. Okay, so now since this is I can zoom this up a little bit bigger, I think, or can I? Well, it's at 200%. Yeah, let's keep it at 200% and make sure that it's pixel perfect. Yes, this looks good. This looks pixel perfect. And you know what? Maybe this time I think I can even add some scan lines. Let's zoom in and do the scan lines. And do they line up with the pixels? Apparently they do. So you know what? I will keep those scan lines there because this looks quite cute. Okay, so where was this one, where this part where I said, yeah, this is the fun part. And this was quite at the ending when I was picking the door. I think this is the most interesting thing when I'm picking the door. Or maybe this is store owner there. Yeah, maybe we start there from the store owner and then picking the lock. No. Yeah, you know what? Let's start with picking the lock, which I had here. So at this position, picking the lock, just going through, reading through all those funny things and just trying to find this trapdoor here. So it's just 1 minute. I think I'm good with 1 minute there. Out more effects. And yeah, use the whole minute there. And I'm not going to compress it now because I think this is not much fun to just watch a progress bar. Well, I mean, for me it is fun, but I can't assume it is for everyone. So let's just render just a couple of frames. Yeah, and without sound. Render a couple of frames and see how things are going there. But there is not much going on, as you can see here, apparently. Yeah, the only thing that's moving here is just the noise, and yeah, the image is not as stable. So yeah, I think I'm good. I think this would work. So I'm just say yeah, let's export this and call this not Castlevania 2 CRT, but let's call it Wasteland CRT. Put it on the render queue. I forgot a D in the file name, Wasteland CRT, and then we are ready to render. Okay, so this was just an example of how I used to do my screen capturings of old games. It's quite similar when I'm doing Super Nintendo games, just using a different emulator. The downside of the emulator that I use is when I'm playing back those so-called movies that I created. Like I said, it's just macros of the buttons that I that I hit on the gamepad. The problem with the Super Nintendo one is that it just plays it back in real time. So when I play and record for 2 hours and I want to record an AVI file of that, I just have to have it run for 2 hours and do its thing, which is not that not that straightforward. But on the other hand, I mean at night, or well, let's say when I'm sleeping, not necessarily at night, my computer is unoccupied and can do all those heavy number crunching and encoding. Okay, let's have another look at the chat, and there are still 7 concurrent viewers. Again, thank you so much for bearing with me. And Wither says, DOS, the fun begins. Yeah. I think next time you should mention how the 255th level of Pac-Man has a bug and then record that without cheating. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, for those who don't know, I'm not that good at Pac-Man. The thing is, many people say they completely can binge Pac-Man because it's still so simple, and they have quite figured out on an intuitive level how the ghosts behave. But for me personally, I never had fun with Pac-Man. It was way too stressful for me. I didn't like to be hunted by 3 ghosts. So Pac-Man to me is literally a horror game where you're being hunted by 3 ghosts and you can turn the tables only a couple of times. And yeah, probably when should I ever mention the 256th level of Pac-Man, I will use someone else's footage or will just cheat, probably. It's a bit like a zip file having different codecs per compression file. Not that it helps anyone who doesn't already know. This is a good thing. It's like a zip file. You can have pretty much anything in your zip file, but the file extension is still zip. Yeah, the same thing with codecs and containers. Containers, it's just that you got way more containers and they all have different flavors in a sense. And yeah, since I'm working in post-production and video and film and anything, the confusion of codecs and containers and what you need from your clients and what you get their clients and what they think, they demanded a ProRes file, but all you gave them is a QuickTime file, and it never ends. Things got way more complex once we abandoned the good old film stock that was just physical rolls of film, because that everyone could comprehend, and now it's just all over the place. Talking about stuff that nobody can comprehend, how this brings us straight to how I record videos for current games. By the way, I've been recording games. This might be interesting. I have a hard drive dedicated just to game recordings, and you can see here this is there on my network, and I got trailers and other. I got Android, Apple Arcade, Atari. So the most, of course, I got for PC games, which looks like this. So those are all the games that I recorded footage. Most of the games I have completed, and I have complete footage from start to the ending. For others, it's just a couple of clips where I needed them. Mystery case files. Wow, for one couple past months. When was this? 2000. Yeah, half a year ago, I was just binging hidden object games for some reason. So yeah, there's a lot of games that I already have recorded, because why not? Maybe I need it someday. And I think the first one that I've recorded, or that I still have here and have recorded, is, where do we have it? Is Half-Life 2. And this was back in the old days where the gold standard of high quality footage was DVD. And and I've already here setups for encoding. And yeah, this is actually a DVD structure because I wanted to have this on a DVD, and I even made menus. And if you watch this today, it compressed horribly. It's just ugly. It's just so damn ugly if I'm looking at this right now. But yeah, this was one of my first serious recordings. Okay, let's try to zoom out here, because like I said, my mouse clicks aren't being registered. Yeah, and this is from last modified 2005, in August 2005. I recorded also games before then on VCR. So for some reason, I've been doing Let's Plays before anyone else did them, and yeah, I'm still doing the same thing like I did years before, but for some reason I'm not the one who went famous. But this is a burden I'm happy to bear. But is it anamorphic? Does it have optical or magnetic audio? Oh, you're right, you're referring to the good old film stock. Yeah, of course, things weren't as simple with film back then. Because yeah, with some film strips you could have the audio on the film, you could have a synchronized audio on a CD track, which was called, I think, DTS audio, which was the first digital audio tracks where it's like, oh my god, yeah, I'm getting way off track here, but things weren't as easy or as simple before, of course. They never were, and I assume that they will only get even worse. Okay, so I got a lot of screen recordings there, and I used a lot of different methods. And right now, the one that I'm using is, just let me show you, is of course a Bandicam. So when I'm playing games, I only play them at full HD. Still got a 4K screen, but I don't think that I'll be using, or it's necessary for me to record games at 4K, because with all the performance impact it has. So I try to keep the quality as high as possible with HD, so everything at maximum, and yeah, hopefully hit 60 FPS. But when in doubt, I never go for the frame rate. I always go for what looks the best. So if I put everything on ultra and maximum and manage to squeeze out 45 frames per second, this is good for me. Of course, if everything is stuttering and you got like 15 FPS, this is not good for screen recording. But otherwise, I think, yeah, personally for me, I always go for quality of the content and not so much for the frame rate. With other people, it's the other way around. They are happy to take an impact on the perceived quality if they manage to nail 60 FPS every time. So my settings, if you're interested in those, there we go. My settings are that this is wrong, that I'm recording at full HD, and the codec that I'm using is, why is it CPU? This is wrong. Or is it? This is the wrong codec. For some reason I've been recording with the wrong, oh, of course, yeah, sorry. This is, no, wait. What? Shut up, no. Yeah, I'm a little bit thrown off now why it's using the CPU and not my GPU, because I'm recording with my GPU, of course. But here it just lets me select CPU. I don't understand why it does this. Because usually, maybe it's because the GPU is currently being used by, oh my god, After Effects and Premiere that I still have open there in the background, so let's better close this. But yeah, the settings that I'm recording with are lossless, or yeah, I think it's called lossless compression, and it is an MP4 codec, but it's lossless. And then I run a separate program via FFmpeg, and then I'm going to just get the, just compress it down so that it's not huge. For example, just let me show you what I'm currently compressing, because I've recently rediscovered XCOM 2, and I didn't manage to beat it, or just played it a couple of hours when it came out and then forgot about it, and I recently rediscovered it. So, and I've started playing it, and yeah, this is how I'm just going to record this. And for example, this one here, Sabotage Alien Facility, is 89 gigabytes in size, and it's 25 minutes. So you can see the frame size balloons with uncompressed. Or Hack Resistance Computer, 29 minutes, 69 gigabytes. Last Facility, Sabotage, it's 50 minutes and 181 gigabytes. So one thing that I need is an SSD. I got a 2 terabyte SSD, which is only used for recording stuff. And once everything is recorded, I have this convert whatever to HVEC. This is the high, what's it called? High velocity encoding codec or something. It's not high velocity, but yeah, it's H265 for anyone who's interested. And let me just show you in Notepad. Yeah, we don't want to update Notepad now. So where is Notepad? Sorry for the zooming in and out. Yeah, and this is my Notepad script. Let's make this one here bigger, where I painstakingly pretty much got everything down that I need for the highest quality compression. Because of course you can record compressed video, compressed MP4 with Bandicam, which of course is totally legit and totally fine. But like I said, I'm a quality fetishist in a way, so this is not good enough for me. Can I still got only the CPU here? Yeah, sorry. But the good thing is when I'm not running a game at 60 FPS and have to record it to a video stream also at 60 FPS, I don't care about how long it takes. This is good because the more quality you want to have something with the compression, of course, the longer it takes. Like Frank mentioned there in the video, it's always it's like a zip file, and with zip files, of course, no matter what you throw in there, if you just can compress it for long enough, you will still get some more compression out of it. And the same thing is with video compression. The good thing is the more time you spend at a certain defined bitrate, for example, for me it's like 6,000 kilobits per second, which is good enough for XCOM, which means that I want to hit this target bitrate, so I encode my video in 2 passes to this bitrate, which means the first pass, the encoder just looks at how much movement is there, how are certain blocks of video in the image moving around. For example, if you have a lot of sky, you just pan your camera and the sky is pretty much just blue, it more or less stays the same, so you don't have a lot of compression going on there, or you don't need to store a lot of information because the information in the image in this portion doesn't change. And if you just do a pan, well, it's just more or less like a still frame that just moves from left to right. And this is how MP4 codecs work. Well, very overly simplified. It just tracks what changes are there, and if there are portions in an image that get reused or don't change from one frame to the next, or a couple of frames, or like hundreds of frames, it doesn't, of course, have to store it each time. And again, the more time you have and the more processing power you can devote to this task, you can track certain blocks of image content for hundreds of frames. And really, it's like with file compression. You can find out all the nooks and crannies where you can squeeze more data in. And in this case, because the bitrate is fixed, it's not so much about getting the video small enough. It's more about getting how much quality and how much information can you retain without exceeding this bitrate there. And I just set up here a bunch of variables there and do some logging. And this is the wonderful command line command for FFmpeg that compresses everything at the highest quality that I, for myself, can retain. So it's, as I've told you before, with the compression of 4x2x2, where the colors might bleed out, like I said, with very fine red details, everything, it looks a little bit washed out. And with this profile here, I can keep that, it's the main 444 profile, as like with ProRes 444. So you keep all the color channels the same resolution as the luminance channels, so the image looks very sharp and very fine. And like I said, it's just a sport of mine to converting down these things. And this is the first pass, like I said, where it's just preparing everything and tracking things but not compressing. And with the second pass, because it knows what to do, essentially, this is where the compression happens. So of course it takes twice as long, and there's just some more logging stuff going on. And this is how it looks there if we zoom in. By the way, this is paused because I'm streaming right now, but for example, it takes my Threadripper, I think, 1 hour to compress 5 minutes of video in this in this quality at the resolution that I want. So, and this is where it comes into play, where I say, everything is overkill with me, because I just want to keep the maximum quality at a reasonable file size. And again, I think I've lost way too many of you in my very, very fine details and the nitty-gritty of file compression and video recording. But maybe this is interesting to you if you want, or if you have been struggling perhaps with getting best quality out of your Super Nintendo captures and you never managed to find what is wrong. I'm using the biggest file size, the best compressor, and it still looks like garbage. Maybe it is because it's compressed 4x2x2 and you only got half the resolution for the colors. Okay, let's have a look at the chat, because I'm pretty much done for today's stream. But of course, if there's anything that's still a big mystery to you, and again, thank you so much for still hanging out. So I'll have another sip of my horrible strawberry drink and see what's going on. Oh, the stream name is wrong. How? It gets better if on some version change they renamed some of the options. Yes, this is why I'm very very cautious when I'm updating FFmpeg or the X256 integration, is that of course then I have to debug this horrible thing here. So I have to read all the change notes very carefully that none of this breaks, because this, like I said, this took me a week, more or less. I think I worked 10 hours or more in total, maybe even more, just running tests and everything to see that the output file actually worked and actually wasn't out of sync, because this was my biggest problem that I had, was that the screen recording software doesn't always record at 60 frames per second constantly. It sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less, especially when there are loading pauses in the game. So yeah, this was very hard to get right, that the frame times didn't change, because no matter how well you in the end you compressed your video, if audio and video gets out of sync, and it's not just, it's out of sync by 5 seconds or whatever, 500 milliseconds throughout, this would be not a big problem. But sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, sometimes it changes, and you just get crazy and don't know what you're doing wrong. And this is what took me so long with all the testing, really, to make sure that in all the edge cases of the codecs that it still works. It says Phil streams e-cording. Oh, that you mean is wrong. Oh yes, thank you so much. I didn't check this, I only checked the last words. That game footage for LD45 post-mortem. Yeah, this looks fine. So I just changed it. Thank you for catching this. Okay, so I've been streaming just for 1 hour and 31 minutes. I thought this would take a little bit longer, but I think for this Ludum Dare post-mortem, I think I just mentioned these two names of games. The other thing that I mentioned was, I think, let me just check. Yeah, Wasteland, there we have. I needed a comedic angle like Wasteland had, for example. So I needed something there with comedy, and I think the posters on the wall that we saw count as comedy. And the other thing is, yeah, West of Loathing. That I mentioned West of Loathing, but again, I already got the entire game of West of Loathing. Also already recorded. And even got some screenshots. By the way, if you haven't played this game, it's hilarious. It looks like it was okay. Sorry, this is, since it's 4x4x4, I have to play it back with VLC and not Media Player Classic. This is West of Loathing. Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, it looks not like much, but the longer you play, you really get used to it. And actually, it's pretty polished. It's very polished. And yeah, it's a pretty big world, as you can see. So I've had a lot of fun with this game. And this is what I pretty much based my art style around. And this was what I had in mind for my Ludum Dare game. And yeah, and for this is that I had my internal working title for my game. That was West of Nothing. And since I'm all about visual jokes, again, sorry, wrong player, VLC, there we go. It was West of Nothing. I want also to have the title sequence of West of Loathing. I think there it starts now. Or no, this was the second time. Where are we? Where are we? 2 hours later. Yeah, so okay, this is the starting sequence. And I want to, of course, change it to my working title, that it doesn't say West of Loathing, but West of Nothing, and this is, I think, what we're going to do next week is changing this title sequence that it reads West of Nothing, director Phil Strahl or something, just for the fun of it. Again, if you have, if this game comes up in a sale or something, it's really, personally to me, it's my Fallout 76. It's like an open world with kooky characters and funny quests and interesting puzzles, and really, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I think, let me just check my agenda for today, but I think this is everything for this week. If there aren't any more questions, let me just switch over to Big Phil. And thank you again for watching. And like I said, if you have any questions regarding this whole video recording, game capturing stuff, because I'm doing this for decades now, I'm happy to help if you have any questions or something doesn't come out quite right as you would like it. Just pop in a comment. Maybe if I find the time, maybe I can help you out with it. Okay, one thing that I noticed with today's stream, and I hope I'm correct with this, is that my microphone levels didn't suddenly drop. And I think now that I did some testing, I think this is because I deactivated the control panel of my Sound Blaster sound card, which I think was the reason why suddenly when it got focus again or something in the taskbar, that it switched back my microphone levels. Okay, I just moved the microphone levels bar around, so if I'm suddenly louder than before, then it didn't work, but but I hope it did. Okay, with that being said, I think this is everything that I have for today. So again, as always, thank you so much for spending your valuable Sunday time with just this random guy showing old games and how he records old games and getting all technical about it, because I'm a nerd, especially when it comes to video compression and video games. Is there anything better than video games, making video games, playing video games, and recording video games? Okay, again, thank you. And let me switch over there in my OBS studio, because I'm a one-man band. I have to do this all by myself and I love it. Thank you again for watching. Have a great remaining Sunday and see you next week. And I hopefully have at this point already something a little bit more for my LD45 post-mortem, because God knows it's about time that I release another post-mortem again. Thank you so much, and like I said, have a great week.